Morning. It is nearly 4 a.m. and it's time for another Careers Clinic with Career Change Guy Brian from Career Advice UK. And I will be live streaming for the next hour or so, taking your questions on things such as CVs, cover letters, interviews, negotiating your starting salary, and more. So if you have a question, anything career related, please put it down in the comment section below and I pick up and answer on a first come, first serve basis. Now, I know over the last couple of days, been getting a lot of queries about career change and also too about interviews and kind of the more on the interview process, especially if you have multiple interviews. Hey, they are cool. Good to see you. And so I'll be taking, as I'm waiting for questions. Hey, Charlotte, and they are cool. Good to see you. As I wait for your questions, I'll talk a bit about those. Excuse me. A lot of allergies. So I'll be drinking a lot of coffee and water to kind of keep it down. So when you are looking to interviews will sometimes be in a one-off. Sometimes they will be kind of like a football match where you sit there and you go through rounds until you get to the end. And each round is a bit different, and they're looking at something more specific. So if you are doing the first round, if it's multi-round, your first round is this. It is not, to be very clear, it is not about it's not about getting to know them. It's not about them getting to know you. It is not. What it is to see if, if you have, if you fit the role. They're looking at, are you interested in the role? Are you a fit for it? Do you have the skills and the experience that they need? And that is what it is. If you don't come across that way in an interview in your first round, you're not going to make it to round two. And at that point, what it is people think, well, I can study for those questions. Yes, you can. You can, answer it and show, that you're interested, that you have the experience. But, hey, JD, but what it means also, too, it also means they're looking at behavior, and that is what they're looking for. So if you remember, communication is about 70% nonverbal. Hey, Josh, it's been a long time. Good to see you. It is, behavior. They're looking for, does your words match your behavior? Do you really look interested in the job, or are you just parroting it just so that you come across as though you're interested? Are you, when you're talking about experience, are you kind of fidgeting? Are you kind of giving cues off that stating that maybe you're overstating your experience? And again, right fit, because certain jobs have very kind of, I don't want to say personality-centric type of roles. And sometimes it is, you may have the skills, you may have some of the experience the experience they need, but you may not be a real good fit for the role. And I'll tell you, for example, when I worked in IT, for example, it was one of the reasons why I got out of it, because it wasn't really a good personality match for me. I could do the stuff, I didn't mind it, but it was very much a it was a user 384 and Project Home. It was for me, personality wise, it just didn't fit. I can be introverted, but as an introvert, it still, I was very much, how should I say, seen as extrovert because I was not the type of really IT type of person, because a lot of them are very introverted. They like to work on things than dealing with people. Hey, Liam. And in all honesty, I don't mind doing the things, but I do need a bit of the people kind of contact, and it would drive me absolutely nuts when I would just go in and just look at my queue of stuff to do and not really have a lot of contact with people. It was just dealing with stuff. And so you do at times in IT especially, you can start to feel very isolated. And that kind of isolation can be really stressful, and it does start to have an impact on you. And so for me, I just found that I would get tired, I would get bored, I'd burn out, because personality-wise, it wasn't a really good fit for me. It was, skill set-wise, it was fine. I could do it. And I could do the kind of the analytical end of things. I wasn't really a good coder, but I could do SQL. I could do that. I could do the networks, databases and stuff, reports on database. So it really was, I had the IT skills. I could read a log and look for things, and I could do that. It was just that it just started to kind of, always wear down. So it always, when you are looking at jobs and really kind of talking about your experience and trying to sell that in an interview, it needs to be genuine. It needs to come across. And this is where, a lot of people, if they're not going to get the offer, even though they may match it, it may be down to their behavior in the interview. And this is what I do work with people on. Hey, bye, Harley. Good to see you. So that's what I do with Leap Forward Careers. Work with people who have upcoming interviews to prep them, talk about the responses. How do they, so that is what I work with, as part of Leap Forward Careers. So if you're just joining, I'm Brian, Career Advice UK, and I live stream basically Friday through Tuesday. I usually don't go Wednesday and Thursday. Sometimes on Wednesday and Thursday I'll do noon live stream. So I just kind of take it as is. I do run a site called Leap Forward Careers, giving advice, tips, and support to those with CV, cover letters, upcoming interviews, specifically targeting those who are looking to make a career change. If you visit the site Leap Forward Careers, I do have a whole bunch of guides for you. I have guides on disability, covering neurodivergency in the workplace, along with topics like what is reasonable accommodations, what should you ask for in an interview. Are you okay to ask for this in an interview? What type of things can you request to support you as a disabled applicant in an interview? What you can ask for support in regards to doing your application. So there's a lot there that covers. I also talk about negotiating your starting pay, talking about the UK education system for those who are looking to to develop and make a career change. Talk about career change, have a book, still have free codes for a couple remaining. the UK Job Seekers Playbook 2026. It covers the whole kind of recruitment process, from applying for jobs, searching for jobs, developing a career strategy, a job strategy, interviewing, negotiating your starting salary, just to name a few. And that is available. If you just direct message me afterwards and just say code, I will send you the information. You will just need to ensure, hey, Scrublin and Mehmet, just make sure you can take direct messages, because if I can't, if it's not enabled, I won't be able to send you the information on how to get it for free. The code does expire in a couple of days on the 15th, so make sure, if you want it, that you download it before the 15th. Otherwise, the code will expire. I also have a career change guide. I also have a whole slew of others. Also, a guide on ATS, making sure ATS checklist. Also, too, quite excited about. Yeah, looks like also too. Hey, Rossi, good to see you. Also too, I'm quite excited about. I have several CV templates up for you to use. Also too, I have CV templates covering a variety of sectors: public sector, private sector, charity, chronological, functional, just to name a few, plus also cover letter template. So it is very much a one I think if you're doing consulting in what? So what type of consulting are you talking about? Probably not, because consulting does require a bit of networking, and a bit of promotion. Probably you would need to get yourself up and running. I would say 1 to 2 years would be probably a more realistic time span, because what you need to do is you need to find customers, you need to market your service, you need to market your service, you need to get clients, you need to get a website to get yourself out there, you need a business address, you need a business plan. You need to do processes, and to get yourself up and running. And again, it is, the marketing end of things. No, it's a really, LSE is an amazing school, and I don't think you would struggle to get clients. I think the struggle and challenge for you would be the very short time frame of 3 months. I think even if you, let's say, had thousands of pounds to market, to get your website up, you'd still be needing customers, and and you would still need to, because there is a bit of a trust factor, you need to find somebody that you can maybe work with to kind of give you a good word of mouth, that you can start to maybe do, and start where they can start to review you and start to develop your reputation. And I think that's going to take you time. And I think, realistically, by the time you got everything up and said and done, I think probably a year to 2 would be the realistic. I think degree from LSE would be a massive selling point. I don't think you would struggle. I think it is, it would be, I think where it just kind of falls into 3 months is just getting everything up and running. I think you would need to have a bit longer time frame to do, unless you're ready to have a customer base that you can draw from. If you don't have a customer base where you can do your management consulting from and kind of start to develop the trust, reputation, then I think you will struggle. I think too, where you may want to look at as a starting point, you may want to work with like your local authorities, because a lot of them will do business supports for small businesses. So again, if you're doing management consultancy, it may be a group of people that you can tap into. It may mean that you have to give your service for free. But again, you do get a very kind of, what should I say, high quality contacts of people of people who are very much interested to help, that we could probably come to you to help. So I think you can look at that also. My contacts through Chamber of Commerce and all, just to kind of make your services available so people know who you are. So you will need to do a lot of networking to make sure people know, hey, Little Egg, that you do provide the service and you're out there. So I think it is doable. I think it will be, something you can do, but I think you will struggle. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but I think if you're looking within 3 months, I don't think it is going to be a doable. I think in my opinion, if you were to do it, I think it would be probably, hey, Emma and Vay, good to see you. I think you'd be looking at roughly, a minimum of 6. If you're just joining and do like the feed, please like, please share, please follow. I'll come to you in a quick second, Vay. And if you do feel inclined but don't feel as though you have to, please send gifts, as it really helps me to know what resonates and what people like, and helps me to plan my content. I think it looks like, I think for you, Vay, if you are unemployed and you have no qualifications, you can still always look. I would recommend starting to get a few qualifications, because I think if you have, oh, well, thank you for the gold boxing gloves, Jake. That's very nice. It's very much appreciated. So what do you do is, if you have no qualifications, you're 16. If you are in that area, I would say there's a lot of government support to help you get back. So I would say take a look at, getting qualifications. Look into the government. Government will provide some support and training to get you what you need. I would say take a look at going back to college. Take a look at college. Get yourself, I would say take a look at that. Also to, take a look at what you have enjoyed doing, in as courseworks, as when you did, what did you did, take a look at, you know, think about your personality. You know, what is it? Are you kind of like a 9 to 5 person, or you know, you like working nights, and start to kind of figure out there. And also to take some time, you know, to volunteer. It gets you some it will get you something you could put onto a CV. Um, Now, you know, you can start to look at apprenticeships, and I would take a look at, you know, if you are interested, take a look at getting your GCSEs and A levels, because those are going to be, I think, very important, or at least T levels. You know, something you can do on a technical kind of vocational end of things. Hey, Jad, thank you for the likes, very much appreciated. Um, and really start to take a look at that, and just start to work out, you know, where do you want to go by taking a look at, you know, what are your interests, you know, what did you enjoy in school, you know, when you're out of school, what do you like to enjoy, where does your passion and interest lie, you know, take a look at, you know, going back to school, because it's going to be, I think, difficult, not impossible. You know, there is options probably with retail, but retail's very difficult right now, because it is very kind of economically sensitive area. Because when people start to lose jobs and inflation starts to rise and prices rise, people start to change spending habits. And when that happens, people cut back on purchases, and then that starts to have a massive impact on like the retail sector, and also hospitality. And so it is, I think, very much a very kind of economically sensitive area. And I think it is one area, I think, what you just need to look at and just kind of consider for yourself is kind of your next steps. And just take a look, you know, what is it that you want to do? Because there is, like I say, some support from the government. Again, I would say, you know, contact Job Center to see what they're able to offer you in the way of support. Take a look at, you know, if you're looking just to apply for apprenticeships. The government website has a list. I don't believe it's the full and complete list of all apprenticeships available in the UK, but it is a good, I think, a very good smattering of what's available, a good cross section. So take a look in the areas and start to apply for those, and just really just start doing a bit of that kind of journey and working out what it is, what you want to do. And the best way to do it, I believe, is starting to do some volunteering, or if you can find some part-time work, do part-time, and start to define, hey, thank you, Vay, for the follow, and start defining where do you want to go from there. And I think then the path becomes a lot clearer. Hey, thank you, Vay, for the share. I think it then becomes a bit clearer of where do you want to go, what is it, you know, what is your next steps, you know, do you want to go back to school because you need to train, you know, are you going to look at an apprenticeship so you can develop skills and progress. I think it is really, I do think it is a really good area to get into, and really just start to do that exploring and asking yourself, what are your next steps? And so I would just say, start to take a look, start to think, what is it that you like? What do you want to do? And it will ultimately come to you. I would, I think if it's not really on, it's a little bit out of scope for me, but what I would just say to you, Naz, If you are getting addicted to everything, maybe you just need to get a bit of support and help. Speak with your GP about what is available for you out there, and to help you kind of get your life a bit more balanced, and get you onto the right path. So if you're just joining and you do like the live, please please share, please follow. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it down below. And I do pick up on a first come, first served basis. I don't necessarily I don't totally believe that, because I do work in the healthcare area. I do more on the research contract end of things and work with many healthcare providers, including trusts, and I don't think they would call you a junkie and kick you out unless there was a really, really good reason for it. So, yeah, I know, Vay. So yeah, so if you do have a question, yeah, I know. So if you want to become a doctor, it is a very kind of competitive route to go. It is very competitive. It's a very competitive route, requiring a lot of training, a lot of education, and a lot of dedication and time, and a lot of long hours. It is not the easiest, and it is, probably one of the harder career professions to enter and to prepare for. But the reward is good, but it is a lot of years of work ahead of you, and you need to be prepared for the long hours and the sacrifices that it will require from you, and it may mean along the way relationships go to the wayside. It may mean a personal life, having to get that up so that you can become a doctor, especially if you're looking for the more challenging fields. So it can be a very long route. So it is medicine. There is, I think, but I don't know all of it because I'm working in the area. There is a medical apprenticeship, but that is, I don't know if that's open. I believe it's only open to healthcare professionals who have life sciences degrees, who want to convert it into becoming a doctor. So it would be somebody who may be a nurse and want to become a doctor. There is that kind of route for them. But I think if you don't want to go that route, then what you may want to look at is look at getting another healthcare degree, like pharmacy, radiotherapy, nursing, working several years, and then seeing to become a doctor. No, you would need university. It's UK, it's five or six, and then you're in your then training as a junior doctor US. It is, I know, 8 years, 1 to 2 years residency. Then it's about another 3 years, 3 to 5 to specialize. So it is a very long route. You can go to college and uni if you get the grades. You can, if you can usually do that. Some people will, because again, you need to be able to kind of define yourself, and to define, and people will find at 18, they want to become a plumber. But then, after they work a while and decide, hey, no, I'd rather do, civil engineering, and become a civil engineer and go to university. You can convert. You just make sure that if you're going to uni, you do get the A levels that you need. Make sure you wind up with some A levels. When you go to, and think about, and this is, I think, one of the failings of the UK university system, is because if you kind of go down that route, and you have, let's say, missing an A level, let's say you decide to become a plumber, and you decide you want to move into civil engineering, for example. You may find that you need something, let's say, in math or physics in order to do engineering. And if you don't get the A level in math or physics that you need from doing any college work, you'll still have to pick that up, which I think is a failing in the system. Because I believe if you have worked a couple of years, you should be able to transfer some of that experience in. Looking at what you did, I also believe, you shouldn't be kind of limited, because it does start to limit you, because if you go to college, you don't get the A levels you need from doing a, let's say, a training program or a BTEC or whatever. You don't get that. And you have to pick it up. It means it becomes a barrier. You should be able to just apply out straight, without having the needed requirements. I think it is a bit of, a failing there. And I think sometimes if you do have, let's say, an academic test where you can show that you have the skills, the writing, the math, the reading, and some of the kind of scientific or social science background to do university work, you can demonstrate, then you should be allowed to, without having to pick up a bit of additional A levels. I think it is. I think it creates an unnecessary barrier. And I would say too, if you're kind of looking at that route, maybe consider, apprenticeships may be also the way to go. And so it may mean that, it's an apprenticeship route to go. So I think it is, you can go from uni to, I think you can go versus that. I think it is a little bit, Adama. It's easy. I think it is. I think in the UK it is, a bit of a barrier. I think it is. I think it is a bit. I think it is a bit. I think, like I said, it is a Hey, Adama, good to see you. I think it is a bit of a barrier because I think if you don't plan it out right, you may wind up. You just may wind up missing out. And I think it is. I think a bad. I don't think it is the greatest route to go on. I think it is. I think it is a bit of an unfair. I think it is a kind of a not a fair system for people who may still struggle, because I don't believe anyone at 18, 16, 17, 18 know what they want to do. And I don't think that the system should force them into making an adult choice at such an early age. And it should be a bit of a filtering system that allows them to kind of go through the education system and kind of work out. Hey, Graham, good to see you. Thank you for joining. I think it really does, penalize people. And it does really make it difficult. If you, decide you want to do a career change, or you want to do something else than what you initially planned, because it, for lack of a better word, shit happens. You may decide, at 16, you want. What do you? I think I know what you mean, Jills. But can you clarify? Mean doing like online? There is a lot that you can do online. Online jobs and stuff. You just need to define what it is that you want to do, identify what your skills are, what you're interested in doing, and then start to look and apply for them, because there are a lot of online opportunities, I do believe. I think, you just need to kind of look for and define what it is. And I can, it is a, like I said, you do just need to kind of look for them. They do exist. Now, if you're talking working from one country to another, that becomes really a very kind of messy tax situation for a lot of people and a lot of employers. Hey, Stephen, and chat. Good to see you, and Joanne and Matthew. Good to see you all. It can be a very kind of difficult and complicated situation. I know a lot of employers do shy away from hiring workers online from other countries due to the tax, and they require you to travel into the country for anything. It then becomes a very kind of sticky, messy immigration situation. So a lot of them will just avoid hiring across. So if you do have a question, if you're just joining, you have a question, please put it down below. I do pick up on a first come and first serve basis. Hey, Motion, thank you for sharing the live. On the first come first serve basis, I do also run a service called Lead for Careers, helping people throughout the whole job application to help them to reduce the time it takes them to find a job and to get hired, and help them get the job that they quite enjoy. So I do things on everything from CV preparation, structuring CVs, interview preparation. Oh, well, thank you for the, Jody, thank you for your awesome, that's amazing, thank you. And take on those I will work with. For best advice for getting hired, good question. Best advice is, be transparent, be honest. Apply to jobs that closely match your skill set in this very competitive job market. Don't apply for jobs that you don't match at least about 80% for. Make sure that you use a CV that doesn't get rejected by application tracking software. And also, too, when you're doing an interview, prepare. You can't go in and wing it. Take the time to know the job description. Take the time to prepare the questions. Take time to learn something about the organization and their values. Because if you go into an interview unprepared, it's almost a guarantee you're not going to get it. Likewise, if you're just sending off CVs, one after the other, the same CV, same format, regardless of how closely that that job matches previous CVs, if you miss something important, it gets picked up by the application tracking software, and what it does mean then is you're not going to get the job. So what you do need is to take the time, structure your CV to the job description, matching your skills, and using that. So the best advice is, don't rush. Take your time, and be strategic in what you do. And if you are, then I do believe you will be successful. It's a good question. I don't know much about it. I would say most of the tracking software that would be on it would be GPS, and also looking at towers. So when you go to a tower, if you have your mobile phone on, it pings across one of the more local towers. It is not always, at least from when I worked with mobile phones in IT, it doesn't always hit the closest target. It gets routed via traffic, and so it will be, usually one of the closer towers to it. So it would be wherever you are, it pings a nearby tower, and you can start to track that based on tower pings. So you can track that way. You can also track GPS-wise. There are probably several ways, and plus your phone is always sending data to various websites, and so it picks up the information of where you're where you are at in tracking your movements. And so there is a lot of it is a, most people think, well, your phone is it doesn't really track you. It does, and it does several different ways. So you always have to be a bit careful with your phone, because it does, like I said, it will track you, and it has GPS. GPS does track, so does as you do move about, pinging off of different towers in your area. So those are the two biggest ways. There are others too, website data and stuff, search queries and all that too. So there is like literally hundreds of different ways you can be tracked. Hey, Alfie and Aja, good to see you all. Thank you for joining. So if you have a question, please put it down below. I pick up on a first come, first served basis. If you are just joining, you like the feed, please like, please share, and please follow. And if you do feel inclined, but don't feel as though you have to, please thank us, because it does really help me to know what people are liking, what they're enjoying, and it helps me to plan my content along with steering the conversation today. And also, too, like I say, I do run a service called Leap Forward Careers, helping people finding jobs, um, and helping them through the process. Several, like, it is always it is always a good area to go in. Engineering is probably the best field if you can get into it, if you have the math and science background, the STEM background for it. It's an amazing field, really good career. It is very much on the kind of cutting edge of technology, the cutting edge of society, develops and helps to shape society. Um, it is probably one of the fields that if you do if you can get into it and you do well, world is pretty much your oyster in the way of jobs and pay. So it is always a good area to get into. And as technology advances, engineering, I think, will be one of these that really becomes depends on what you mean. Hey, no problem. Hey, thank you for the roses. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. It depends on what you mean by lie. I mean, for example, for me, if I'm applying for a job, if you make up a fake situation, that's a lie. That is misrepresentation, which can, if you're hired and it's later found out that you made it up, it would be a fair grounds for dismissal, meaning that you wouldn't have a claim at tribunal. If you just sometimes if you say I wouldn't fake situation, I wouldn't because what it is where you show good customer service. He said that he didn't do it, and then if you're put into that situation and you don't demonstrate, then it becomes a kind of a conduct and capability issue. What I would say instead to do would be to say, how did I show good customer service? It may mean saying something like, I may not have a lot of customer experience, but in this kind of situation, I would believe good customer service, drawing on my experience as a customer. I would expect that somebody, hey, thank you, Kettles. No, that's totally understandable. You do have a lot of experience, but it's just knowing how to put it across and the CV you're using. So what you can do is what's called a chronological CV that highlights skills versus chronological experience. So you do have experience from your academics, any volunteering experience, extracurriculars. In school, you may picked up things like, using Word, using Excel, maybe even a bit of coding. You may know how to code a bit. Yes, I know. So am I. So you can use that. There are ways to highlight, your experiences and draw on that because you do have experiences, but when you talk about experiences, people think it's about paid experience. It's not, especially at the entry levels. And so if you're applying for an entry level job, they will know that you're not going to have maybe all the skills, that you may not have all the experience. So you can draw on your previous experiences and highlight it. Will they accept it? It depends on the company organization that's doing the hiring. But at the end of the day, you do have that experience that relates to the job. So you can't, make up an experience and just to say, well, I've done a little bit of, C sharp. I can do a little bit, so let's say I can do it all. I've been trained. I know how to use it. Well, that's misleading because if you get a job that requires you to do a lot of programming in C sharp, and you've stated on your CV that you can do it, to a, experience level, and you can't, then that's conduct and capability, misrepresentation, and it's a fair grounds for dismissal. So what you always have to do is, if you're going to start to draw on, let's say academic experience, if you're going to start to draw on, experience that you have from volunteering, make sure it's real. Don't overstate it. Say if you've done, let's say, programming, and I'll just use this again as an example in C sharp. Say I took a course in C sharp. We went through, arrays. We went through loops, and do what you covered, writing, condition statements, if then else, and this is what we went through. Then you can start to highlight what you've done, or, even if you do, let's say, stuff on your own. Let's say you develop your own website, say, and you're applying for web developer or, web developer role. Say, well, at the end of the day, I haven't done, I don't have a degree in computer science. However, I've developed my own website, and here's the, URL. This is all I have developed. And so this is, and again, they can sit there and judge for themselves. So you can use, things that you have done. I've known in IT, worked in IT for several years, and probably about more than half of them that I knew in IT never really got a degree in computer science, and it's work that they've done on their own. Or they went through and got their certifications to really, to help to develop them. Hey, Dave and Sama and Ellie and Kingelly and Kirsten, good to see you all. So it is about so much. It's more about experience is, yes. And so that will be something you can put onto your CV after you do it and say to them, I've done this course in. I've taken this course in. I've got my certificate. You can get, there is a lot that government will fund. That they will help you get the qualifications to do. And then when you complete the course, you get the certificate. You can put that onto your CV and start approaching employers with. The challenge for you will be then finding a job that will take you, because you may have the certification that says you got the skills, you got the knowledge, but you don't have the experience. And that can be a little bit of a challenge for you. But hey, Cameroon, good to see you. And so, it is, I think, a really good way, to, hey, Ahmed. It is, if you missed out on high school, hey, thank you, Ahmed, for the follow. Just to clarify, when you say high school, are we talking UK or US? Because the terms are, high school in the US and UK are two totally, two very different things. And just so I know, frame of reference. Because into you ask, oh, well, thank you, Ahmed, for the rose. That's very nice. Very much appreciated. Okay. So if you missed out, I would say look out. I mean, if you're going to say good job, again, good job depends on how you define and qualify a good job. If you're defining it by pay, given your age, you are going to be looking at entry-level jobs. And without GCSEs and A levels, it is, going to be a bit difficult to get something good, because at this stage, a lot of times employers will look at, if you have GCSEs, if you have A levels. And so if you are, if you have missed out, I would start to say is looking to go back. I would say to you, look back, to go back, get your GCSEs. It is very good. Paramedic is a very good job if you are going to in the way of future, because people are always going to get sick. People do stupid things. People do get comedic injuries. So there is always going to be a need for paramedics, and I think with paramedics, I think you will will need to do a good quality life with wage. I think it will provide you with a good job, a good wage, and it does open up, if you are looking to do other things, it does offer you routes into I would say, in my opinion, Kimmy, my opinion would be you're better off if you're going to uni to do A levels. BTECs, in my opinion, strictly my opinion, is better suited for those who are looking to do vocational, to do the vocational end of things, and looking to do the BTEC and get a job afterwards. A levels, I would see, would be people who are more prepared to go on to uni. Now, I do believe you can will take BTEC. I just would have to say, just make sure the BTEC yeah. If you do a BTEC, you will just make sure that the conversion and stuff will meet the program you want to do at uni. I would say, some may require that you do a few A levels along the way. So yes, you can do BTEC. Some may require, depending on the program and stuff, in university, they may require that you do some A levels too. I would say probably, strictly my opinion, if you are looking to go university, you are a lot better off doing A levels than doing a BTEC. I think BTEC, yes, you can do it, but I think it is, how should I say, I think with a BTEC, it may be, a kind of a bit more of a complicated route for you, and you may find that you may need to pick up an A level to do what you want. So I think if you can just get yourself aligned with what you want to do at uni, I think it is, it's a lot better with A levels, because you can do the A levels, go to the uni program you want, and you don't have to worry about, are they going to accept the BTEC? Are they, going to require me to do an additional A level just to fill that gap? And I think too, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, not necessarily, because without the A levels, it's going to be hard to get the experience that you'd want to boost your CV. And so I would say to you, you're probably better off. I think it is, when you say getting the experience without the A levels, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. To get the experience, you need the A levels. Without the A levels, you don't get the experience that you need. I think if you're looking to not do A levels and to get the experience, I think it would be a lot harder, a lot longer for you. I would say to you would be, it is about, I think it for you, it would be, if you're looking to do uni, you're better off, I think, with the A levels. I think BTEC, if you went down the BTEC route, let's say you do BTEC in IT, and you go off for a couple of years, and get some experience in IT, and then you decide you want to go back and get your degree at uni, and then go back and get your degree in computer science at uni, or cybersecurity, whatever it may be, in IT related. It will boost your CV. It will make it easier for you to go to uni. But at the end of the day, it is a lot, how should I say, longer route. If you look at doing it that way, you may wind up and may find that you actually lost out on money, because you kind of went this kind of circular route where you had to maybe start at a lot lower wage. It took you several years to go, and now, guess what? You're now going to university with a lot more expense, time missed, income lost, and it is, it's a loss, and so it really winds up, being a bit of a, are you talking about this one, Lewis? Yes, it's a Stanley Cup. So yeah, yeah, so for me, I'm not a big fan of them, because they do fall apart really quick. So yeah, so I think for me, in my opinion, if you're going to look at kind of doing, let's say, the BTEC route, what happens is, you may wind up actually making less over the course of a couple of years, because you're going a very kind of looped way, instead of just doing it directly, doing your A levels, doing uni, graduating, and getting a job that pays more, than trying to take a more junior role, do the BTEC, do a junior role, and then get the experience, then to go to uni, which can work and may work. So So yes. So if you do have a question here, feel free to put it down below, and I'll pick up first come, first served basis. And I will pick it up career related. I do also run a live stream not every day yet. Yeah. So I do live stream typically Friday through Tuesday. Sometimes I will do Thursday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and sometimes I'll do it at around noonish. And I do take your questions. Oh, well, thank you, Michael, for the Gigi. Thank you. So yes, so if you do have a question, feel free to put it down below. Talking about, today about, BTEC versus A levels, and having a bit of a chat about that. And I think it is one of these ways you can, go either way. I think, hey, Michael, thank you for the follow. It is one of the ways you can, easily do. You can go either way. It does ultimately end in the same result if you want to go to uni. You can do BTEC or A levels, but A levels, it really ensures that it does align with the program. You want BTEC, again, it will convert to A levels, but it may mean that potentially, depending on what you want to do, if you haven't planned a more direct route, it may mean that you would have to do some additional A levels, and most unis will take them. But again, it's not 100% guaranteed. So again, the safer route is to really go with the A levels, because again, you are aligned with the program, and you are aligned with with the university and what they will take. Interesting, Rebel. So yeah, so if you do have a question, and just to remind you too, do run a service called Leap Forward Careers. I do have a lot. I have on little guide on UK education system, between from GCSEs to university degrees, talking about the options along the way. I also talk about, I do have a guide for those who are disabled. Guide covering neurodivergency in the workplace, what is reasonable adjustments. And that's free for asking. ATS guide. When you're submitting your CV, also, I still have a few codes left for UK Job Seekers Playbook 2026. The code expires on the 15th. If you want a free copy and you find it useful, just ask that you leave a review on my site, along with, if your account allows it, on Amazon. So message me afterwards if you want the code, and I will send you the code. Just ensure that you're able to accept direct messages, because I will send it to you via direct message, and if it's not enabled, I won't be able to do it. If you're looking to career change jars, career change guides, CV templates, cover letter templates, all there is to help you. So if you do like the feed, please please share, and please follow. And if you do feel inclined, you find it helpful, but I don't require it, please send gifts, because it really does help me to know the feed, what people like, what people enjoy. And it helps me to kind of plan the content going forward. And speaking about content, if you do like what you see, you know, or there's a topic you want to see me covered, just again, I say, please direct message me. I do pick it up, and also too, if you're looking for like career advice, career support, hey, no problem. Yes, I know a lot of people. Hey, no problem. University this September. So what are you preparing to do, Robel? So if you do have a question, that's a good field. Computer science is really good to get into. So yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to, put it down below. Been over the last 20 minutes or so, been talking a lot about, BTEC versus A levels, GCSEs, and university placements. So yes, so if you have a question regarding university, GCSEs, please let me know, and I will pick it up. So yeah, so AM and G bangs. So if you do have, like I say, a question, feel free, to put it down below, and I will pick up on a first come and first serve basis. If you do like the feed, like I say, please like, please share, and please follow. So what I am going to do, I think, is end here right now. I will be back tomorrow, 4 a.m. Greenwich Median Time, taking your questions again. And thank you, everyone, for the likes, the shares, and the follows, and the gifts. And I will see you back at 4 a.m. tomorrow.